I'm extremely disappointed and frustrated that we're even on a strike. We didn't need to get here. General Motors has an exceptionally strong offer on the table. It's historic. It'll impact three very important products. Two brand new, our Chevrolet Colorado and our GMC Canyon, both mid-size pickups that are in strong demand, as well as our Chevrolet cargo van that does exceptionally well in the market.
Ever wondered what it feels like to wake up and realize your favorite CEO might be on the chopping block? Buckle up, because we've got some hot news that's going to rock your mind. So, you might be thinking, what happened to the GM CEO? Did they accidentally put diesel in their morning coffee? Or did they just decide to turn all the GM vehicles into spaceships and head to Mars? Stay tuned to unwrap the answers for these guys. As one of the big three US automakers, General Motors boasts over a century of history and innovation in the auto industry. However, GM now faces immense disruption from the transition to electric vehicles. Under CEO Mary Barra, GM aims to reinvent itself for an all-electric future. But this high-stakes strategic bet contains risks, with huge investments required amidst market headwinds. Barra is boldly doubling down on EVs despite recent financial struggles, manufacturing delays, and slumping sales. GM must balance its legacy business with developing new EV capabilities. The coming decade will test whether GM can adapt to meet the challenges ahead. Is GM's CEO Mary Barra steering the automotive giant toward disaster with her risky electric vehicle strategy? General Motors finds itself at a pivotal moment in its over 100-year history. Under the leadership of CEO Mary Barra, the company has made a bold bet on an electric future. However, this bet comes with substantial risk. GM is pouring billions into electric vehicle development and manufacturing capacity at a time when the EV market faces headwinds. Meanwhile, Barra is doubling down on EVs despite losses, quality issues, and market skepticism. Her strategy has raised alarm bells about whether she's guiding GM off a cliff. GM's electric vehicle endeavors have disappointed so far. Barra herself has acknowledged letdowns with GM's EV efforts. The company's Ultium battery development, critical for upcoming EVs, has progressed slowly. Their autonomous vehicle testing resulted in alarming crashes. Financial losses from their Cruise robo-taxi venture have piled up to over $8 billion since 2017. It is questionable whether Barra is making rational decisions by remaining steadfast on EVs amidst these troubles. Is Barra foolishly ignoring the warning signs and putting all of GM's eggs in the EV basket? GM's current financial picture looks gloomy. The 2022 United Auto Workers strike caused substantial lost production. Labor costs per vehicle will rise by 2024 under new UAW contracts. Meanwhile, the EV market is hitting the brakes, with Tesla cutting prices and Ford slashing output. Battery costs continue climbing. Total EV sales dropped in 2022 as incentives waned and prices remained high. GM's stock price sits at nearly a 13-year low, having dropped 15% in early 2023. With stubbornly high inflation, rising interest rates, and fears of a recession, consumers have pulled back on big-ticket discretionary purchases like cars. Yet despite all the red flags, Barra insists GM will hit mid-single-digit profit margins on EVs by 2025. This outlook seems fanciful given the current challenges. Barra projects smoothly increasing EV adoption rates, but reality may be more of a roller coaster. GM's 2040 net zero carbon goal could be out of reach if EVs don't catch on as quickly as anticipated. Should GM pump the brakes on EVs and keep one foot firmly planted in gas-powered vehicles? Remarkably, while Barra trumpets an all-electric future, GM's profits primarily come from new gas-powered SUVs. Models like the Chevrolet Traverse and Buick Enclave have been selling briskly, earning higher returns than many legacy GM models. Rather than weaning itself off gas vehicles, GM remains reliant on them for the bulk of earnings. This spotlights a contradiction between GM's PR messaging on EVs versus where its profits are derived. GM is happy to collect robust margins from gasoline SUV sales, while politicians pressure the industry toward EVs. But this two-faced positioning risks whiplash, trying to satisfy both policymakers and customers. Can GM afford to divert so much capital to EVs while still needing to fund legacy operations? Compounding matters. GM's balance sheet has come under scrutiny. Despite its precarious finances, GM launched a $10 billion share buyback, increased its dividend by a third, and raised executive compensation. While Barra asserts cash will go towards EVs and autonomous driving, these financial maneuvers have been questioned. Buying back shares inflates the stock price but doesn't add real long-term value. GM could have used its cash for key investments like next-generation EV technology. But instead, it is trying to appease shareholders and prop up its stock. This calls into question whether GM has the financial capacity to fund both its legacy business and the high-cost transition to EVs. The company seems to be trying to serve two masters, spreading itself thin across competing priorities. Does GM risk falling behind rivals like Tesla if it doesn't go all in on electric cars? On the flip side, hitting pause on EVs contains risk. Tesla's rise pressured legacy automakers to embrace electrification. If GM backtracks now, it could cede ground to Tesla and new EV startups. Pausing EV investments could leave GM strategically vulnerable if consumer sentiment later shifts decisively toward electric cars. Does GM need a balanced, nimble strategy across multiple powertrain options? Rather than an absolutist approach to EVs, pragmatism may be the solution. A one-size-fits-all plan often fails, and situations can change rapidly. Rigid plans backfire when the future deviates from projections. GM needs strategic flexibility across petrol, hybrid, electric, and autonomous vehicles. A nuanced approach balancing GM's strengths could be optimal. Keep investing in EV technology development, but stay open to other pathways. Given uncertain consumer demand and infrastructure limitations, avoiding putting all eggs in the EV basket seems prudent. Stay the course for now on EVs, but reevaluate regularly based on real-world developments. What path forward do you see as optimal for GM during this challenging auto industry transition? GM faces a complex maze of factors, uncertainties, and trade-offs during this auto industry inflection point. The way forward is not clearly illuminated. Reasonable people can disagree on whether Barra is boldly visionary or recklessly headstrong on EVs and autonomy. Time will tell whether Barra's high-stakes EV strategy pays off or proves a costly miscalculation. Does GM risk alienating loyal customers if it abandons gas-powered vehicles too quickly? GM needs to strike a balance between meeting environmental goals and retaining customers reliant on gas vehicles. A too abrupt forced transition risks angering buyers who don't have access to home charging or face range anxiety. GM should phase out gas models steadily only as EVs reach cost and capability parity. Jumping the gun on eliminating gas risks customers defecting to rival brands if they feel pushed into EVs prematurely. Could partnering with cutting-edge battery startups help GM fast-track EV progress? GM should leverage partnerships and acquisitions to gain talent and technology rather than trying to do everything in-house. Joining forces with innovative battery firms could help overcome obstacles. Access to breakthrough battery designs and manufacturing processes from startups may accelerate GM's EV capabilities. The auto industry is shifting from competition to increasing collaboration. Imaginative partnerships could be a force multiplier for GM. Does GM need a spin-off EV brand unencumbered by legacy baggage? Legacy automakers like GM carry inherent disadvantages versus agile new EV firms. Launching a standalone GM EV brand could allow greater innovation free from corporate bureaucracy. A streamlined new GM brand dedicated solely to EVs could attract top talent and move faster without distractions from gas vehicle operations. It may be GM's best chance to truly leap ahead in EVs. Could Barra's experience guide GM through choppy waters, or does the company need new blood? On one hand, Barra deserves credit for pushing GM firmly toward electrification earlier than rivals. She recognized the inevitability of the shift to EVs years ago. Perhaps her long experience in autos equips Barra to adeptly adjust course as needed. But on the other hand, GM's situation may need fresh thinking from outside. Longtime insiders can become rigid. A new executive from Silicon Valley could challenge orthodoxies and bring creative ideas to shake up and reform GM's strategy. I see merits to both perspectives on GM's leadership requirements going forward. That's it for today's roller coaster ride through the corridors of corporate chaos. If you enjoyed this dramatic journey and you're still wondering what the heck is happening with the GM CEO, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe faster than a turbocharged engine. Goodbye, guys.